So there's this clip going viral online of a dozen women being asked the following question: do we need men? Most answered very quickly, no. And only one said she thought women needed a man in their lives. Only one.
What would happen if all men on Earth disappeared? While some women might...
Welcome to Pegasus versus the World, where we take on challenges, comedy, trending topics, and some travel. City boy! City boy! Lord have mercy on my soul. If y'all heard that intro, we about to get into this. I don't know where this is going to go. This is titled Math Genius Explains What Would Happen If There Were No Men. And I would love to hear this take, this hive mind that the social medias create, and this goes for both men and women, start believing and start taking on different thought ideologies, I think could be very dangerous. This whole movement of men are useless and we don't need men. And this is in the height of like men literally building a society where women could be the safest they've ever been, right? They can have the most opportunities they've ever had. This was built by men for them. Like it's basically like our gift, right? And it's just unfortunate that people don't see it that way. And the battle of the sexes continues. And this is where we're at today, right? And I don't know how it's going to play out, because we are at the advanced technology stage. If the women are smart enough, they could use technology to take men out if that's what they actually want, which sometimes it seems that way. I meet, a lot of cool people in the comments that don't think that way, men and women alike. But we're in a unique time. So let's get into this. I'm checking this out on the Poor Man's Podcast channel. I'm subscribed over there. He drops bangers after bangers. So please check him out. And if you do, go leave a comment. Just let him know that I sent you. Sometimes I'll put his videos in the description. Sometimes I don't. I think the call to action to go to his channel is more important. It's the Poor Man's Podcast. Show him some love. If you want to show me some love, like, share, comment, subscribe on this video. If you didn't know, I'm Black Pegasus. Link in the description of my other channels. And let's get it cracking, man. We'll start from the beginning and let this one ride. I try not to watch his full videos, so there's stuff to go see, on his channel, but we'll see how long it takes to get to the main point of this one.
So there's this clip going viral online of a dozen women being asked the following question: do we need men? Most answered very quickly, no. And only one said she thought women needed a man in their lives. Only one.
What would happen if all men on Earth disappeared? While some women might think it's a great idea, the reality would be absolute chaos. The first major issue would be electricity. About 90% of the people who maintain and repair power grids are men, meaning that within days, much of the world would be left in darkness. Next, say goodbye to eating fish for a long time. Since the vast majority of fishermen are men, the fishing industry would collapse. That wouldn't be too bad if women could rely on meat instead, but most livestock farmers are also men, which means meat production would also plummet. So what's left? Women might have to forage for food like their nomadic ancestors, living off berries and whatever they can find in nature. Or maybe they'd try hunting, but that would mean traveling long distances, which wouldn't be easy considering that 9 out of 10 people who know how to repair vehicles are men. Of course, all of this suffering wouldn't last long, because within 100 years, humanity would cease to exist.
This is what would happen if
humanity would cease to exist. Get the mathematician on here. I can't wait to see what she or he got to say.
men stopped existing. For some reason, not all girls, only a small select few of them, are living in a world of complete hatred to the opposite gender, which I don't know why. They just have this natural prejudice against all men, which is ridiculous. So let's go through what would happen if men stopped existing. Firstly, I'm not kidding, the earth would literally explode. The footage got corrupted for the first time ever, but oil refineries and nuclear plants need constant care, and the people who occupy those jobs happen to be male. Mostly. And if they don't receive the care that they're supposed to get, they would explode. And if they explode, radiation goes everywhere and the earth would be destroyed. Okay, back to the video. Pilots are 97% men. So if men disappeared, flying from place to place would become 90% harder. Once again, men need women, women need men. Don't wish the death on anybody. Just because whatever dirt that hurt you happened to be a male does not mean that half the population of Earth should go away. That's silly.
Women do not need men to get bank accounts, houses. They have careers on their own.
Yeah, but who built the bank? Who protects the money that's in the bank? Who developed all the digital systems so that you could track how much money you have in the bank? Already off to a bad start.
No, you still
Facts. Bro, remember, I still argue with my wife about this, man. And this is why I get nervous about Western thinking, because my wife is old-fashioned, traditional, good woman, good girl, a great mother. But when that trend was going around, the would you choose a man or a bear? She's on the same, like in that hive mind where she's like, what, I understand why they would choose a bear. Like, men are this, men are that. And then they'll go to their past hurt experiences. And with her, it's with me, right? There are some things that I did early in our relationship that were just, I just wasn't mature, man. I take full accountability. I should have definitely certain situations manned up, let's say. Manned up and been like a real man. I'm not going to get into depth like that because it's not fair to put our personal information out there, and I don't think she would want that. But I am willing to take the accountability and do that. And then as I've changed and matured as a man, which took a while too, man, I was a piece of work, let's say. But with that being said, I really get flustered because I'm raising daughters, and I'm not going to lie, like it would really hurt. It hurt deeply. It hurt my soul. Because I sacrifice everything for them. If they grew up and one day some TikTok trend was going on and they would choose a bear. Yeah, I'm saying, if y'all don't know about the trend, there's this trend where women were picking a bear. If they were lost in the woods, would they choose meeting a man or getting help? I don't know, meeting a man that they've never met before, or a bear. And majority of the women picked the bear. And they've all sided on it, and it's just really strange. Like I said, it's that hive mind, blah, blah. But let's see what happens here. Hopefully, this is the math part.
That's in the bank. Who developed all the digital systems so that you could track how much money you have in the bank? Already off to a bad start.
No, you still rely on men. It's just indirect now. See, men have always been in between women and the real world. That your office job is not real life.
Yep.
Here's another depiction of that. Here's men going out to face danger and build things on the outside in order to create a safe space for women on the inside. This is how it's always been, and it still is. You just don't understand that because you're too comfortable.
Exactly.
Men still do all the hard work.
Yeah, and really what it comes down to is a lack of understanding of violence. And when you have a lack of understanding of violence, you have a lack of understanding of what nature really is and the underlying principle of nature. There are women that are so disassociated with reality that they are saying, and I see this in the majority of women when they're asked this question, that they would rather be in the woods with a bear than a man.
Hold up. Hey, for my niggas who be
What I tell you, this is what sparks these conversations. Now, again, we're not saying that motherhood, right, and raising children isn't hard, isn't challenging, stuff like that. But to even do that, you have to be in a protected space where men take on certain type of threats, certain type of things, etc. Even in today's society, and that's what we do. We're wired to do that. We with the shits, man. We gonna protect and provide for our families, man. That's what we do. But it is interesting, this hive mind. I'm telling you guys, it's dangerous for you know. And there's a lot of weird stuff that is like, look, I don't want to downplay the fact of the R word. It rhymes with hate or grape. I don't want to denounce that because people will say, well, statistically, it doesn't happen that much. And then the women's argument will be that a lot of it's unreported. In my lived experience, you know, talking to females, there's a lot more that goes underreported than, you know, people who want to argue the statistics. Recently, one of my good friends is in AA, and there's a woman in there. And she said her alcoholism kind of started with trying to cope with being the M word, right? Abused as a child. She was 13 and she was in foster care and she was abused by a male figure. And did she report it? She was 13. How many times does this happen in foster care? How many times does this happen in sports? Like there is an undertone that no, it's not underreported. It's just da 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 da. And I've seen so many instances in my lived experience where stuff like that's just another story that's just, oh, it happened when they was young. It just flew by and it wrecked someone's life. So let's not act like those things don't exist. And that emotion is what drives women to say stuff like the bear. I understand that. But the reality, is like we got to find the symbiotic relationship that, men are protecting women from scoundrels like that. And as men, we can't get mad. We just have to stay stoic and keep protecting our ladies and children. And I wish I was more like this when I was younger. Not that I've ever done anything to harm anyone, but I have been in some situations where I should have rose to a certain occasion to maybe protect someone or bat. There have been times where I have risen into the occasion, but I just feel like I should have been more, I don't know. They call it white knighting, I think, but just like, I don't know, man. It's hard because sometimes there'll be, let's say, domestic violence situations that I've backed off of because you didn't know who was at fault. But there's sometimes I wish I was a little more assertive in those positionings when I was younger, and I wasn't. And it is what it is. I know where I stand now, and I could just understand things better. Also, I put myself in scenarios and went to places that I probably shouldn't have been, where you could dodge a lot of these nonsensical things happen by just not hanging out with certain type of people. But situations arise, and you got to be ready to step up as a man. So it is what it is.
Do you understand how delusional and disassociated with reality you have to be to say something like that? It's absolutely insane. And it's because they don't understand violence. Do you know what a bear does? A bear isn't going to kill you. A bear is going to hold you down, start eating, and from him eating you, that's what's going to kill you.
Yeah, it's almost like a cat. Like it's like torture. Like it's legit torture. No one want to hear that. And bears will eat their own young. Male bears will actually eat the kids so that the mama bear will be sad, want more kids, and mate with them. It's just like this delusion is crazy, man.
So I guess by proxy, the bear is going to kill you, but it ain't going to be as short as you think it is. And so there are women in our society now that believe that they don't need men because they get the benefits of men by proxy. And it's because of the state. It's because of the government. It's because of our jobs. And it goes underappreciated because they think if they sit in a nice, cushy AC job, they're doing the same job as a guy that's building their house. And so the sacrifices that men have made to build society this great has unfortunately backfired and made it so that women no longer respect the sacrifices that men make in order to make society safe for them.
If all women stopped working right now, we'd be fine. If all men stopped working, everyone would die.
Yep.
And that is, again, because men make all the food and build all the houses and the walls, and they used to guard the border. I guess they gave up on that. Women have never done that and can't. Men still do all of the necessary things to create the space for you to have your girl bossing fun time. The way it works is that women are always really happy for men to do the hard, dangerous work until times are really good. And
yeah, like I'll hear women talk about women weren't allowed to get jobs. I'm like, ma'am, do you understand that 100 years ago people worked 6 days a week? The only day you got off was Sunday. And the average work week was 60 hours a work week. And so you saying that women weren't allowed to work? I don't think the women that were, when the guys were building the pyramids of Giza, the women were complaining that the men were the only ones allowed to work.
The other thing is, dude, I was just in Mexico, bro. There's mad women working construction, and it ain't because they want to. It's because they have to, because they're in poverty. Like there were all these, and they typically just hold the signs, but they were in construction. I never seen so many women working in construction in my life. I just was in Tijuana, Mexico. And I was like, oh, see, and this ain't the type of work they want. But man, the Western world is wild, y'all.
But only after we got nice AC, cushy office jobs with pizza parties, all of a sudden women weren't allowed to work. It was a privilege to not have to do those hard jobs where you was out in the sun in 100 degrees, slave labor. It used to be a privilege to not have to do those jobs. But all of a sudden now, it's kind of backfired on the masculine again.
Something better than this. And then you look around and you go, hey, men have more than us. No fair. You go to the government, which writes some laws for you, which makes you equal. And then you are disgusted by men who are equal to you. So without equality laws, it's very easy for women to find men they respect. And with equality laws, it's very difficult. And then everyone tells these men that they're worthless. And then they go, okay, well, I don't want to be this guy, so I'll just be this guy. And then they never grow up and they never do anything. Yeah. And then you hate them even more. So your girl bossing crap is just not going to last very long because women cannot do what men do. You can't do that work of building the physical world.
Yep.
And what you're doing now is just sort of taking it away from men and having it for yourself without giving them anything back, which makes them go away. And then, like, imagine if you had to build a house. It's not going to happen. And then when men go...
Again, this is not saying women can't build houses or there's not women out there that can do all this stuff. It's just saying because there's not a majority like there is with men, society would collapse without men. And women typically aren't interested in a lot of the things that men do anyways. So...
away, then there is nothing in between you and bad stuff.
And bad
so
men, yep.
You might want to stop being so mouthy.
And that's the funniest part to me. A lot of women don't understand the only thing that separates them and chaos is good men. Women have been taught to hate men and to fear men because men are violent. But less than 1% of men are actually violent criminals, and even most of those men aren't committing violent crimes against women. The truth of the matter is, the reason why violent men aren't violent towards women who want to be violent towards women is because they know they'll have to answer to other men who will beat them down or lock them up for being aggressive.
And when they get locked up, they get that extra work. People who abuse women and children get that extra work in prison. Like, people don't play around. Like, it's just known, man.
Towards women. So literally the thing that you're told to...
All right, so I think that was the part. I want to save some of this for okay, so he does a nice little speech and starts breaking it down. But I think we got the point, and I would like you to go check out his channel, The Poor Man's Podcast. Anyways, I rock with him, man. He's dope, man. He's introspective. He gets it. And the crazy thing about it's not crazy. A lot of the stuff I bring in front of y'all, I try to find people who are like, he's neutral. He is neutral. He's just spitting the facts. He's not an extremist. I try not to bring extreme figures on here, unless it's like an example or like, yo, this just happened. It is what it is. I know some people would think Trump is an extreme figure, so it's with a grain of salt, you know. But typically, like when I bring on the economic people and people like this, I bring people who are not extreme and very neutral. So this was great, and hopefully we all can learn something from this and just make a better place. Because I got daughters to raise, and I want them to be balanced and neutral as possible. I want them to love men, but I want them to be able to protect themselves from the dangers, because I get it. Men can be predatorial, and men can be dangerous. And that's why it's important to find you a good one that's going to help with that, man. You know what I'm saying? But, man, this topic is crazy. All right, I'll catch you on the next one.
City boy, city boy.